from Bob Winder today. Thank you guys for being here. So just a couple of things real fast. He graduated with honors from Brigham Young University, and then he went on to get his MBA at the Kellogg University, and then now he is the president and founder of the Logan Growth Advisors, which is really awesome. So let's give it up for Bob.
Bob, we're super excited to have you here. I'd like to welcome the students as well. We got a good turnout here of students. Listen, Bob, I've known Bob for a long time, and I have to say that if Bob told a joke about Will Smith's wife, Will Smith would have slapped himself. Right? That's the kind of guy that Bob Winder is, right? So anyway, it's great to have Bob here. I've known Bob for probably 12 years. He was a student at BYU. I was teaching down at BYU a money and banking class. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I remember very well. I remember nothing about the class, just you. I remember you really well.
It was a fire hose. This is during the financial crisis, so this is an interesting time. And I just remember Bob was 100% engaged, right? And I think that I could tell that you were going to be successful in life. And so anyway, we're super excited to have you associated with Utah State. So welcome again. So let's start. I just want to get some background. Just tell us kind of your story of your story from Cache Valley down to BYU to Northwestern and to now running the investment banking world. Can you go ahead and do that?
Man, sure. There's a lot there. So I grew up here in Logan. Logan was great. Loved it here. Had an amazing childhood, played football, all sorts of sports. Decided to go down south to school. It was nice to kind of feel like I was on my own, be my own man, So I went to BYU, studied finance, took your class, which was amazing. I don't remember anything about the actual class. I just remember I loved you as a professor, and I remember asking you, like, hey, it looks like being a professor is really, really interesting. You make this look too much fun. And you said, well, you should get your PhD. You should be a professor. And so that was always kind of in the back of my head, like, man, I don't know about the PhD part, but I really like the professor idea. So I graduated in 2009 with a finance degree, which was probably the worst time ever in the history to graduate with a finance degree. But I was fortunate. I got a job in Boston, management consulting. So I was consulting Fortune 500 companies on growth strategy. Did that for a couple years, and then I put my finance degree to work and went to work for a private equity firm in Cleveland, Ohio. My wife was from Cincinnati, so we wanted to be kind of close to her family, so Cleveland, a lot of old money there, a lot of old wealthy family money, and that was great. Working on acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions, learning the deal process, buying companies, helping them grow, implementing the growth strategy that I worked on from my consulting days. I just loved it. And from there I thought, how would it be, we're in the process of writing these big checks to founders, helping founders, generate a ton of wealth, realizing, their life's work. And I thought, it'd be nice to be on the receiving end of one of those checks, right? Like, I'm sure I'm the first one that ever had that idea. So I thought, how about I go to Northwestern, the one-year accelerated MBA program, and while I'm there, I look for a business to buy. And so while I was there, I found a business to buy. It was a group of dental practices in Dallas. I'd worked on a bunch of healthcare deals, and I thought, hey, this is an interesting model because there's so many ways to grow. I can grow through acquisition, and I can grow by adding more specialties, and there's a lot of really cool things you can do. And I'd seen the playbook in private equity, so I thought I could implement that. So I dropped out of school. I deferred. They were nice. They're like, hey, yeah, go live your dream and pay a bunch of donations. And I'm like, I'll definitely do the former. And so I, moved down to Dallas and bought this group of practices. I was married with 2 kids. It was totally crazy, right? Just totally crazy. So I'm there running this dental group and quickly realized that I have no idea what I'm doing and we're totally undifferentiated and completely behind the 8 ball. So pretty quickly I learned, like, hey, this is not going to go how my Excel spreadsheet predicted, right? And as I'm kind of realizing this, a friend of mine called me, a private equity friend. He said, hey, Bob, I'm looking at buying this company for $20 million, but it's hairy, it's raw, and we're busy, so we're going to walk away from the deal, but could I introduce you, and you can help them out? And I'm like, man, I'm up to my eyeballs, barely making payroll over here, barely keeping food on the table. I don't have time for this. But when your back's against the wall like that, you just say yes, right? So I said yes, let me get involved here, let me take a look. So I went in, and sure enough, super interesting business, great bones, great strategy. But the financials were a mess. They didn't know how to talk about their strategy, their growth. They had a bunch of partners. They just didn't know how to present themselves to private equity. Well, I knew how to do that. So I said, let me take this on. I'll be an investment banker, right? I'll learn how to sell a company. So we took the mandate on, helped them improve themselves, and then ran a process presenting them to a lot of different investors. Ended up selling it for around $40 million. And so that's when I realized, okay, I need to not be doing this managing dental practice gig, and I need to be working with founders to help them prepare and sell their companies. So that's really how it began.
Interesting.
I wish I could say it was really strategic. It wasn't. It was me just really getting lucky and being in the right place at the right time, and then finding that there is a huge need for good advisors in the lower middle market to partner, work with founders, helping them get ready to sell their businesses.
Interesting. That's great. I appreciate that. Tell me how these experiences, it's kind of fun to hear your background, right? You're jumping into things. It's not going as the Excel spreadsheet planned or predicted.
Not at all.
How did these experiences help you and generate the success that you've had at Logan Growth?
That's a good question. So, I think about running that dental group, and I'm sure most of the folks that come here talk about a lot of their success stories, and they've been super successful. Well, this experience wasn't successful, right? It just wasn't great. In those 2 years, I lost multiple years of my life, right? But at the end of the day, even though I took a really big risk and it didn't work out as planned, it actually ended up being fantastic for me, right? I learned so much about working with people, working through adversity, managing operations, and being able to empathize with other founders, right? It's like, I know what it's like to have the roof collapse and to be held hostage by the landlord. I know what it's like to have Russia hijack your server and have to pay them off in Bitcoin. I know what that's like because I've been through it. And so, having had those experiences, being able to relate to founders is just, it's been a huge blessing for me, especially now when I work with a lot of founders. Instead of just being a typical M&A advisor that's all about the transaction, no, I understand what it's like to actually run a business. I can empathize with the challenges you're going through and, work with you to overcome some of those so that we can be ready to transact. So that's been huge.
Yeah, I love the idea of that sometimes failure, your weaknesses are becoming your strengths here, right? You've got failure that is actually helping you forge your path. Listen, you said that you live by 5 F's. Priorities: your faith, family, fitness, finance, and food.
That's right.
And I added football. Is that all right? The students have to know. Bob Winder has got a little bit of a legend here in the Valley. All-state linebacker. Is this? Am I speaking out of turn here?
It was a long time ago.
I don't want to embarrass you.
I filled out the chair a lot better back then.
Listen, so my brother actually helped coach Logan High when Bob was a linebacker, an all-state linebacker for Logan High. You guys had great success there. Tell me how these 5 F's, and even maybe a little bit about football, how these help you maybe forge some success.
I'm a simple guy, right? Faith, family, finance, food. I mean, that defines who I am and my interests, and it helps me kind of channel and keep focused. So my faith, for example, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's just a great way to live life. Trying to live the gospel, those principles, being honest, trying to find ways to serve. It's just a great foundation. Family, focusing on family. A lot of people ask me, how do you be really competitive in the business world and also have 5 kids from 9 to 2 years old, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of children.
That's like 15 kids, actually.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of right,
I know.
And they're all huge personalities. And I keep telling myself, like someday the attributes that they have now that make it so difficult to live life are going to make them really great adults,
Right.
like the strong-willed and like,
Yeah.
and so people ask me that, like how do you do this with the family and balance everything? But I wouldn't do it any other way.
Right.
Having a family is so motivating and really forces me to be efficient with my time and have so much more motivation. When my daughter says, "Daddy, go bring home the bacon," like, I'm coming home with the bacon tonight,
That's right.
So I love the family focus.
That's good. Let me pause there. So, look, it sounds like running dental practices is easy compared to running 9 to 2, right? Five kids, 9 to 2. Explain a little bit more about that. So, I've got 5 kids as well. My youngest is probably swinging from the ceiling fan as we talk right now. The house is probably on fire. But explain a little bit more about how you're balancing being an investment banker and still grounded in family. I think that might be some concern with some of these students here.
It's tough. So investment banking, so we sell businesses and we help businesses raise capital, refinance their debt, and it's high stakes and it's intense. It's a lot of hours and it's very demanding, which I like that. I don't know why I like that. I'm kind of a glutton, I guess, for punishment in some regard, but I love working with founders and I love, having big events that you can look to and say, I added significant value. And so I really do love what I do, and I want to keep doing it. At the same time, trying to be a family man and focusing on what's the most important, which truly is family, and making long-term investments in my kids is paramount. And it is very tough to balance all that at the same time. And I'm certainly not an expert, and I'm learning every day, but being very deliberate with your time and being very prescriptive in my schedule and scheduling specific time and allotting time for the important but not urgent tasks forces me to be more efficient with the rest of my time. And so if I can be very specific in allotting specific time frames that I'm going to be all in with my family and present, and then make sure that I'm engaging in really meaningful activities with them. Part of it is making sure I have enough time, but part of it is making sure that I'm doing the right things. It's not just about time, it's quality time, right?
I see.
But it's tough, and it ebbs and flows. Some weeks I'm just totally slammed and it's crazy, and then some weeks I'm a lot better at it.
I like how you said you got a daughter. I don't know her age. But she's like, go bring home the bacon, Dad. I like the idea. I think of that as like you've got these buckets, right? You've got your family bucket and your work bucket. And if your time is allocated into these buckets, then you think of those things as substitutes, right? But it sounds like you've had enough conversations with your kids to say, look, these aren't actually substitutes, right? You're pouring water in both buckets and it's spilling into both buckets at the same time, right? Your kids know that you're going to work not just for you, but for them as well. So I think that's important. That's good. Let's talk some more about investment banking. Most startups fail, and investment banking doesn't sound like it's the easiest market to break into. So what has made Logan Growth Advisors successful and last through that startup phase? So you told us how you got into investment banking. How did you take the startup to where you're at now?
So my business model, I learn about a lot of business models, right? And I work with a lot of investors, and they tell me all the boxes they need to check. Business, we want a business with recurring revenue and sticky, customer base and, low key man risk, et cetera, et cetera. My business has the opposite of all of those things, right? My business model is the worst business model ever. You think about, we have to scale up with really, really impressive, talented individuals in our team to manage really complicated transactions, but we don't get paid until the transaction closes, which could be months and months and months later, right? And it's an event, it's a project, it's not recurring. And so scaling up and having all that fixed cost, all the working capital outlay to fund the team and then waiting for an event to happen to finally get paid is a disaster. Right? It is like the worst. And so, but I view that not I view all the negatives of my industry and the business model required to run in this industry as a positive, because that keeps so many people out of this industry. It's so difficult to scale in this industry because of those dynamics that most of my competitors are real small mom and pop shops. So looking at the industry, as I first started, I kind of realized this, like, man, this is going to be really tough to scale, but if we can figure it out, we're going to be very disruptive. And so in the beginning, I don't think I had a master plan of, hey, let's continue to grow this and let's be, really differentiated and disruptive. But that first deal happened and I realized, okay, we're onto something here. This is special, there's a need. And then quickly another deal came and it closed. And then I was able to sell the rest of my dental practices and get out of that. And so that was kind of the third deal. So in the first year we had 3 deals and I thought, well, geez, we're killing it. I got a partner and a couple other folks on the team that were awesome. And I felt like, this is going to be something special. We picked up a few more really good deals, worked on those. But what happened is that next year, none of those deals closed. And for various reasons, deals can die, and it was heartbreaking, but we didn't close any deals the next year. The third year, same thing happened.
Yeah.
No deals closed. So we
You're looking for dental practices to buy.
No, I wasn't. I was still out of that industry.
I'm just messing with you.
But I did have some opportunities to sell dental groups.
Oh.
And for some reason they got delayed or deals died. So we had some really good, interesting opportunities, and none of them came to fruition. And so after year 3, my partner and I kind of looked at each other. We're like, man, what are we doing? Is this actually going to work? But we thought, no, we know this is going to work. What we're doing is distinct and differentiated, and there's a huge need for it. Luckily, the next year we closed a handful of deals, and then from there it really, really took off.
Good.
So we were fortunate enough to get enough under our belt, build enough working capital that now we've been able to build a really, really good team, and we can do kind of a soup to nuts, full, comprehensive process that's very differentiated in the size of deals that we do.
Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of the disruption that Logan Growth has provided to the industry a little bit?
So the business...
I don't want you to give away your secret sauce.
Oh, no, I love this, man. Secret sauce.
Good.
I mean, this is hard to replicate. I'm not worried about anyone competing this.
That's good.
So we work with primarily small businesses, anywhere from kind of 2 to 10 million of earnings, EBITDA. Hopefully you guys know that term, EBITDA. If you don't, you will soon. Take my class. And most of those companies, their financials are a mess, right? They're just not ready for investors to really analyze and look at. And their metrics and, being able to really communicate the value of the company is just not there. They're not ready. So we have a team that's incredibly impressive at getting that ready. So for example, my partner, Daniel Stark, he is a CPA, he's an accountant, 10 years at KPMG doing quality of earnings work for transactions. But this guy, so let me just help you understand how smart this guy is. So Chipotle, you guys know Chipotle, right? It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So they ran a contest a few years ago for the whole world, like the whole world. Who can complete these puzzles and brain teasers the most accurate and fastest wins free burritos for life? This is like Willy Wonka golden ticket,
That's right. That's right.
Daniel Stark wins. He wins the whole thing, right? So every year they send him a box of free burrito golden tickets. So he takes me to Chipotle one day. He's like, just order whatever you want. I'm like, anything? He's like, anything. So I go and I order a burrito, and he's like, no, like anything on it. So I order every meat, every single. I think it was like 11 pounds. Put the golden ticket down, free, totally free. It was like the most empowering moment of my life.
That's right.
So that's Daniel Stark. That's who I work with every day. That's my partner. My other partner, Kevin Kona, this kid can sell anything. Like, he just can't help himself but work so hard. So we got a deal that was introduced to us on October 9th. And he says, hey, I'm bringing 6 dental groups together. I need to raise over $40 million of capital. And the kicker is it needs to close by December 31st. I'm like, this is impossible. It takes us 6 months to get a deal closed. There's no way. Kevin's like, Bob, I got this. I'm like, Kevin, no. You're going to hurt yourself. Please stop. It's like, no, Bob, I got this. Just trust me. Sure enough, he goes nuts, and we close December 31st at 4:58 p.m., right before the wire deadline, like the most stressful day of my life.
Yeah.
But so I'm surrounded by, Kevin, Daniel, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan, and then the rest of our junior team is unbelievable. So I feel like I just have lightning in a bottle with these guys.
Interesting.
And so that's how we can go in and do a soup to nuts. We're going to go refine your financials, boost up EBITDA as much as we can possibly defend, run a super competitive process, and then defend your deal all the way through close. And so being able to be that involved the whole way through the deal process is just very unique at our size of deal.
I see. Interesting. Chipotle for life.
I know.
So I got stuck on that for a
Right?
second. Chipotle for life.
Yeah, he's my guy.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so tell us, this is a leadership forum, and we've gotten a little bit into the nuts and bolts about investment banking. But let's talk about lessons of leadership that you've learned that you could share with some of these students, right? So finance is a technical field, right? You're neck deep into financial statements and into models, and some people might think that might crowd out the idea that you have to be a leader. But here you're in the process of leading a team, scaling, taking something from nothing, and building it bigger. Explain to me maybe some of the life lessons that you've learned about leadership and maybe your mantra. How do you go about developing these types of skills?
I think about leadership in two ways, or in really two lenses right now. One lens is when I work with my team. And when I work with my team, I work with amazing people. And so I don't really need to dictate what they do or how they do their work. For me, I need to support them. So I'm in a support role. They don't work for me, I work for them. And so it's me, hey, how can I help you be more successful? How can I structure your incentives so that they're more motivating? How can I remove roadblocks that are in front of you so that you can be more empowered to use all the tools that you have to be even more successful? And so being more of a coach and a cheerleader and a brainstorm partner and an accountability partner with my team, I found has been fantastic, right? I work with amazing people. Let them do amazing things and really take ownership over what they do. Now, when I work with my clients, that's kind of the other lens. They look to me for answers. And it's sometimes kind of intimidating. I mean, these are really impressive people that have grown multi-million-dollar businesses and have a giant net worth. And they look to me, all right, Bob, what are we going to do? What do you recommend that I do with my business at this time in this situation? How are we going to handle this problem? And in that instance, I feel like I need to have a lot of confidence and have conviction and take a real position and a point of view. I feel like oftentimes, in our world, a lot of folks don't really have the confidence to take a point of view. And that's something I try to teach my students, especially, we just did a case competition, right? And some of the best groups, when they presented, they're the ones that really kind of pounded their fist down. We need to do this deal because of X, Y, Z. Take a point of view, take a position, and defend that position. And when I work with my clients, that's what they expect. And so, being able to feel like I have the right knowledge and tools to be able to come up with a course of action and say, this is what we need to do and here's why. I feel like that's been really beneficial as a leader in that forum.
Interesting. It sounds like you've got to be flexible.
Absolutely.
In
depending on the situation,
lead, yeah.
Whether you're in kind of more of a support role or whether you're, hey, I'm the one that needs to make the decision. We need to go this route. Yeah, you have to be able to do both depending on the situation.
Interesting. Do you ever get mixed up there? Like you're taking a position and talking about these, what these companies need to do, and then all of a sudden you go and talk to your team. Does that make sense? Is it hard to separate? Is it hard to be flexible? I think that's maybe a better question.
I think so. I think it is hard to be flexible and just realize that you need to be able to adapt to the situation. I feel like as a leader, you should probably come in and lead with being more supportive and kind of Q&A, really trying to understand the situation before you say, all right, here's what we need to do. I feel like if you're too quick to be decisive and don't really understand the full situation and include other people in that decision-making process, that can be really detrimental.
Okay, interesting. That's good stuff. All right, let's talk about your segue into the classroom. All right, so we had a conversation 12 years ago. The height of the financial crisis, it was easier to talk people into becoming professors.
True. Good call.
Yeah. So, but tell us, first of all, why? Why did you've taught down at BYU for a few years, and then we reached out to you. We begged and pleaded. I used any type of leverage I could to get you to teach a class for us here this past fall, and you're going to teach another one for us this upcoming fall, which we're extremely grateful. Tell us why the interest in getting back into the classroom?
I tell you, that's one of my favorite emails ever that I got from Ben Blau, because he didn't remember at the time that I was his former student, and I talked to him about being a professor. So to have him reach out and say, hey, what do you think about teaching at Utah State? I said, no way, this is the coolest email I've ever seen. I'm saving this. So I've taught at BYU for 5 years and Utah State for 1, going on 2. And I've had hundreds of interns over the years and have been able to be a mentor. So I started with being a mentor. You know, I was the first one to go into business in my family. My dad was a fighter pilot. My mom grew up on a farm. Both of my brothers went into medicine. And I was the first one to go into business. And I couldn't really articulate why. I guess, you know, I played football. I got injured and felt like I needed to take that tenacity to something else that was productive, and it was business. And so It was a great fit, and I love business. But I didn't have a whole lot of natural mentors. And so I had to reach out and find mentors. And thankfully, there were a lot of great people along the way that helped me out a lot. And so I've always felt the need to pay it forward. So very early on in my career, I started having interns and figuring out ways to, you know, have junior folks get involved in what I was doing and train them and help them, and also get good work in return, right? Always make it mutually beneficial. And over time, I thought, man, especially when I was doing mergers and acquisitions, tons of interns wanted to work with me and get that exposure. And so I went to BYU, who I was more familiar with at the time, and I said, you know, we really need a class on this. And, oh, by the way, here's the curriculum. I've already made it. Yeah. And so they said, well, geez, you're serious. I'm like, I'm dead serious about this. And so they said, great, let's do it. And so I've taught there for 5 years now, and I've loved it. It's been great. And then when you reached out, I thought, well, geez, I'm already teaching. I'm already filling that bucket. You know, I don't know if it makes sense to teach another class. I'm a pretty busy guy, you know, work and family, etc. But just the faculty and the staff, you guys were so welcoming and inviting, and you know, had such positive energy. I just couldn't turn it down. And so I came here and taught and just had a wonderful time. And I've loved it. And I mean, you can't beat this, right? Like, look at this venue. This is unbelievable. Yeah. Being able to, you know, be a part of the community here has been really great.
It's great. Logan Growth Advisors is named after
Logan.
Logan,
yeah, it was kind of a nod
you never forgot your
the upbringing, right? The roots, man.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, listen, we're super happy that you're teaching for us. It sounds like you have, again, we're talking about buckets. You've got to lead your team. You've got to lead your clients. You're helping lead your family, and now you're leading in the classroom. There's got to be challenges that you face, right? And it sounds like you've shown us some of those challenges. The dental practice, the second and third year at your company. How do you overcome challenges? I think students obviously have challenges, but when livelihood is on the line, when your back is against the wall, right? How do you overcome those challenges? We're talking about these challenges that it's like sink or swim at this point, right? It's not whether you get a B or an A. This is whether you sink or swim. How do you navigate that?
I think, as you mentioned, there's different categories of challenges. And there's long-term challenges, and then there's really short-term acute challenges, like some of the ones you mentioned where, you know, I'm having a third baby. I remember it was September 15th, the day my daughter was born, my third child, and we barely made payroll that day. And I didn't really realize how tight we were, and that's when I realized that my dental company was really in a bad spot. And now, you know, I've I have 3 children, 3 mouths to feed, and my dental, I'm personally guaranteed to $4 million of debt, and I don't know what in the world I'm going to do to fix this. I remember shortly after that, I watched the movie The Martian. You guys watch that? It's great. I watched it with my dad the other day in his awesome home theater, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the Martian. Like, I'm stuck on Mars right now. Like, this is me. I can relate, Matt Damon. And so, but what he talked about was, solving problems, right? Just doing the math and solving one problem at a time and just taking one step at a time, and not looking, deep into the future and how hard it's going to be to finally get out, but just solve one problem at a time. So that's what I did. Every day I'd wake up and I'd say, all right, I'm going to make it through the day, and I'm going to do my absolute very best today. Stiff upper lip and a forward lean. That's what I'd always tell myself. It's go time. And I'm going to do my best. And then at night, my wife would make a pie every week, and I would get one piece of pie every night if I would do a good work that day.
Incentives.
Exactly.
Incentives matter.
People respond to incentives. And so that pie, man, would be on my mind all day. All I got to do is make it through the day, do my very best, and then I get a piece of that pie.
That's awesome.
Certainly wasn't the healthiest time period of my life, right? But I think having, not focusing on the long term in those situations, just focusing on just doing your very best for the day, solving one problem after another, and then finally, things will be better, and you will get out of it, and you will actually grow a tremendous amount during those times. But then there's also the long-term challenges. Like you mentioned, having a lot on your plate. Yesterday, as I was driving back from meeting with a client in Boise, which, by the way, is a horrible drive. Have you guys done that drive? It is not an exciting drive. So as I'm driving back, tons of phone calls, dealing with clients that have really pressing issues, dealing with employees that, there's always a lot to manage, helping your team, and then, home front issues. I'm like, man, I got a lot going on. Jeez, so sometimes that kind of, turmoil or fatigue of having so many things to manage is a challenge. Yeah. But it's just, for me, what helps is thinking, hey, this isn't a sprint, this is a marathon, right? So if I don't get everything done today, it's okay. Do my very best, and then I'm going to pick it up tomorrow and do my best tomorrow. And I don't need to overexert myself and get sick or get too burnt out, but just taking it one day at a time, making incremental improvements, and over the long period, you're going to make a tremendous amount of progress. But it doesn't have to happen overnight.
Right. You say marathon, I say I don't like to run, Bob. Right? So, no, I appreciate that. I think the students need to understand that when you have your third kid, it doesn't matter what you're going through. That's a challenge. You go from man-to-man to a zone defense. Zone
defense is real.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that can weigh on you a little bit. So I appreciate your honesty in talking about facing challenges. One of the mottos at the Huntsman School is to dare mighty things, right?
I love that.
Stiff upper lip and lean forward, right? I think that's kind of the same idea, but explain, maybe give some advice. Let me give the floor to you and give some advice to students who are worried about their futures, worried about their career opportunities, worried about how to balance life and work. Explain to them maybe what dare mighty things means to you, and maybe any advice that you could give them to encourage them to do this.
I love that mantra, dare mighty things. I think it was John that gave me the hat, the dare mighty things hat. I wear it all the time. I love it. And I think about that. It's not, I'm going to dare and do something crazy. I'm not going to put, short Tesla with all my money or put everything in Bitcoin or something. I'm going to do something that's really hard and that's a worthy challenge, right? So, me buying a business when I was 29 years old with $4 million of personally guaranteed debt and moving, out of the state and totally reinventing myself, that was kind of crazy, right? But it was a big challenge, and it was a worthy challenge, and it required everything I had to figure this thing out. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. Not because it went well, but because what I went through and what I learned was so incredibly valuable for me that I don't know if I could live my life how I live it without those life lessons. And so for you guys, I would say the same thing. it's okay to take a risk. It's okay to take a big challenge. And maybe that's, hey, how about I get all A's this semester? Or, hey, maybe I will start this new business that I'm thinking about. Or maybe I will, take this job that seems really hard because it has, it's very demanding on my time, or maybe it has a lot of hours. But I believe every great career begins with substantial sacrifice. And so, especially when you're early in your career and you're trying, so my dad's a pilot, right? We talk a lot about altitude and trajectory. When you first start, your takeoff, if you just increase your pitch a little bit and increase your trajectory a little bit, that's going to result in incredible momentum and incredible altitude over the long run. And so whatever you guys can do to dare mighty things now when you're young and work exceptionally hard and make those sacrifices now, that's going to pay huge dividends down the road.
Fantastic. That's great. Appreciate that. In fact, we got Pops in the back there.
That's right.
Shout out to Mr. Winder there. Gosh, we'd like to maybe interview him next week and talk about fighter pilots.
That's right.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Lightning round, okay? Let me just ask you some quick questions. You now live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why Hawaii? So interesting.
That's a quick question.
I
could go on.
We love Hawaii, so I'm interested in why Hawaii.
So there's a lot of obvious answers, but let me tell you one that maybe not as obvious. We went there last year during COVID, when COVID was really intense, for January and February, just for fun, just to kind of get some warm air. And the time zone's really different out there, right? It's 4 hours, earlier, later than here?
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah, earlier. So if it's, 11 o'clock here?
Yeah, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. there. So I would have to start work super early to continue to work on normal mainland time. And I found that getting up early and working when my mind's really fresh, and then all of a sudden the early afternoon rolls around, and my emails kind of stop, and my phone stops blowing up. It's 1 or 2 o'clock over there, and I'm like, it's starting to kind of cool down, and I'm looking around. It's like barely midday over here. Let's go, climb a mountain or go to the beach. So being able to, we talked about kind of balancing family. I wasn't great at compartmentalizing my work hours when I was living on East Coast time, because I'm putting the kids to bed, and it's, my phone's still blown up, and I'm still kind of in the war zone. But now, it's 2, 3 o'clock, and work is really wrapping up. I can actually compartmentalize the work hours because of this time zone arbitrage that I have. And now I can actually spend real meaningful time being present with my family, cooking good food, doing fitness, etc. So that's one of the biggest reasons, is the time zone.
You start early,
super early.
Crazy early.
Yeah, it's painful. That's a rude awakening when you wake up and all of a sudden there's like 50 emails, and Kohler, my team members, already send me 7 messages. And I'm I'm still seeing blurry. Like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's always a rude awakening, but I wouldn't have it any. I just love it. As soon as I wake up, it's go time.
And midday, you're surfing. By 2:30, you have the kids out there at the beach. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I mean, not really, but yeah.
All right. Let's see. Another quick question. Football was a part of your early life. I'm sorry. My students know I like to talk about sports. Football was a part of your life early on. Lessons from football that have carried over seamlessly into business and what you do now.
Football was great. Working as a team, just working through pain, working just day in and day out, the grind. And then, part of it was the physicality and just the toughness aspect that you learn, which that translates really well into business, just the mental toughness. But the strategic side of it I really liked too. I would watch film every night, and I would just dissect the offense, and there were plays when I was on defense, just based on their formation, I was like, I know exactly what you're going to do, and I'm going to tackle you right there.
Yeah.
Because I knew that, because I'd studied the film. And so being able to take some of the strategic aspects that I learned in sports too, and think through how that applies to business has also been really helpful. But mostly the physicality and the mental toughness, just the ability to keep getting up, keep working hard. I played tackle football from when I was 10 to 18, right? And that's a lot of years. And we never had a winning season, ever. We lost almost every game, every single year. Until my senior season, we went to the state championship. We finally put it together. And so being able to go through that much adversity and that much failure, but just keep at it, I think has really, really helped. Because, I mean, we do that now. A lot of deals die. A lot of deals don't close. And you get, punched in the mouth a lot. You just keep getting up and getting after it and just having that confidence that, no, we're going to make it happen someday.
That's awesome. That's great. Good. I think we can open it up for questions now. Is that all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Is that all right? Let's. I think we have a microphone. Do we have a microphone here? Let's get some questions from students for Bob here. Anything that I may have missed or that you want to hear about?
So you had mentioned that you got off to a quick start, and then year 2 and 3 you didn't close any deals, and then year 4 is when it picked back up, and since then it's been good. Was there anything that you did differently in year 4, or was it just kind of the circumstances, and that's why the deals fell through? Was there any like retuning, retweaking that you did to close those deals?
A little bit, not major. Mostly it was just perseverance and just keeping at it, but there were a couple of the initial deals that we tried to structure in such a way that would make it a huge home run. And so for us and for the client, and it probably was too aggressive and made it such that the probability of closing the deal actually decreased. And you can do that the way you structure it. For example, we had one company and we tried to bolt on another couple of companies that made it a lot bigger, so made it a more bigger, interesting deal. But little did we know those other couple companies we bolted on had some issues that we didn't fully understand going into it. And so that created some complexities that we couldn't overcome. So, year 4 we realized, let's not do that, right? Let's just get a solid win for the founder, but actually get the win. Don't just make it theoretical. And then, the deal doesn't happen because we tried to, make it too fancy and really swing for the moon when that ultimately is going to reduce the likelihood of success. So it's a balance, because obviously we want to get the very best outcome for the founder, but sometimes just not realistic. There's certain things you can do that can make something look amazing on paper, but it's not actually going to happen. And so it's having a balance. Let's get the very best outcome possible, but let's actually make sure it's possible. So we did a little bit of that retooling to make sure that the deals we took to market were very defensible, had a higher likelihood of close.
Great question. Weston had one here. We can arm wrestle over it. Fun.
Sorry. I was wondering if it would be possible if you could identify some of your personal habits that you would claim to have contributed to your success. And specifically, if possible, habits that you had when you were our age in college, preparing for the future.
Great question.
There's a habit that I usually show my students in the last class. I kind of go through some words of wisdom and general advice, and I typically get the feedback, oh, that's really interesting. So I'll share this. I am very adamant about writing down my goals for the year, the quarter, and the week, very specifically, and also my to-do list. And then I do it every single day. I write down everything I want to accomplish in a Google sheet, and I just have every single week on a sheet, and every day is a column, and I write down everything I want to accomplish, and I check it off. And in school, you get a ton of feedback. You always know how you're doing, and you know what's right and what's wrong. As soon as you get out into the real world, you just don't get that kind of feedback all the time. And it's very difficult to know how you're performing, how you're progressing. And so very quickly, I took it upon myself to hold myself accountable, because I realized that not many other people would, or at least not to the level that I felt like I needed in order to progress as quickly as I wanted to. And so I was very, very deliberate to write down very specifically what I wanted to accomplish, the goals that I had, and then tracking my performance. And I started that, right as I became a junior analyst, and I maintained that all the way to now. So I have years and years and years of everything I did each day for, professionally, and if it was meaningful personally. And it's become a really fun journal to look at and like, wow. And it's also been helpful in my early years when I had performance reviews. Like, oh, you want to talk about the value I add? Well, let me just pull up, every single thing I've done every day for the past quarter. And, so that's been nice too. But more than anything, when performance is tracked, it improves. And so being very specific to hold yourself accountable and track your own performance, for me, has been key to my own progression.
That's great. Can I chime in here? This is interesting. One habit that I think I picked up on in our discussion was, in football, you would watch game film, right? And you would arbitrage, you would basically engage in some form of arbitrage using strategy to know where the next play was going. Then you said that you arbitraged investment banking. It's so difficult. There are barriers to entry, right? The business models are tough. And you said, I can play in that game, right? And then you've arbitraged the time zone. Does this make sense? It seems like there's a constant theme here where you're intentional about the decisions that you're making, right? Does that make sense? You've talked about, you jump in, but it seems like you've got some thought behind all of this. So anyway, I don't know if that's a habit that you can develop or what, but do you have a thought about that? How do you be intentional while still willing to take risks, maybe calculated risks?
I think I've always been a little bit contrarian, that I don't necessarily subscribe to the status quo. Not that I necessarily want to be different, but I've always just felt like if there's specific things that I want to do, I'm going to do those things. And so I want to live in Hawaii, I'm going to live in Hawaii,
Yeah.
Like, and so I think there's a lot of things that I do. For instance, in the 5 Fs, for example.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I do that I just feel like, for me, I want to be very, very deliberate, and this is, something that I really value, and I don't necessarily care at all about, what the status quo would want me to do.
Right.
And so when you talk about arbitrage and just finding, creative ways to kind of take advantage of the system, I love that. I'm all about that. Let's just find ways where there's hidden value, where you feel like you can add, true value or take advantage of a situation in an ethical and professional way.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I can come up with, those are great examples. You should go on. Like, that was great.
Yeah. No, that's good. I caught that when you're talking about writing everything you do down. I started thinking about our conversation, and it seems like that's been a habit, right? Of you being deliberate, intentional about the decisions that you make. Weston, sorry.
One of the 5 Fs that you haven't talked about much is food. Could you speak to that a little bit more and the importance of that to you?
Food is extremely important, man. I'm so into it. Lately, so my dad got me really into a Camp Chef smoker pellet grill. They're made here, right? Camp
Yeah, that's right.
So I have this amazing giant Camp Chef pellet grill smoker, and then last week I got a cow butchered, a whole cow.
Yeah.
And I had Lowe's deliver a freezer, filled it, and they're right next to each other. It's just water your eyes, man. It's like the most. it's so awesome. So I'm really into smoking meat and really the food it brings people together. I love to cook, I love to eat, and I love to have that as kind of a social lubricant of bringing people together and having a great time. So food has always been just so high on my list.
Oh, that's awesome. We have talked Chipotle and pie.
That's
now
true.
we've got smoked meat, so
That's true.
we're covering.
Don't tempt me.
That's good. Other questions, Parker?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Sorry, there we go. So you mentioned this big deal that you worked with Kevin, and you need to raise $40 million, and you got it complete on the deadline. I just wanted to ask, in moments like that, when you when you know that you have to perform under pressure, do you have any type of strategy or mental routine that you walk through when you know that you need to be able to perform under that kind of pressure?
Phew. I don't know if there's a whole lot you can do to prepare, for example.
Personally, I curl up in the fetal position over in the corner. So I'm actually really interested in this question.
That was an intense time. There were a lot of moments. So there's a difference between preparing for an event, something like this, like I need to speak, or there's a performance or a competition that's very short. I think there's specific things you can do to calm your nerves and get ready for those type of situations. In a situation where it's like we have a really intense 2 months of deal, and there's going to be multiple really critical conversations and negotiations that happen during that time frame, I don't know if there's anything specific that I would say, hey, if you meditate for 7 minutes, you'll be ready to go for the day. I think for me, it's trying to maintain somewhat of a balanced lifestyle even during those really intense times. Fitness, for example, is one of the fives. And so being able to, I do CrossFit, high intensity interval training, being able to just completely focus on just trying to stay alive for 10 minutes, doing a really intense workout, kind of, refresh yourself, get those endorphins, kind of reset, get ready to go, has been helpful. But more than anything, just, realizing that all the preparation that I've done until now is enough. And so just telling yourself, what I've done is enough and I'm ready. So I'm going to get in this conversation, this negotiation, and sure, they're going to throw stuff at me that I wasn't specifically prepared for, but you know what? What I've done up until now is enough, and I'm going to figure this out. And I'm going to go in with confidence, but also humility. I don't know everything. I'm open to learning, but I'm going to do my very best, and we're going to win, and we're going to figure out how to get this done. And I'm going to do my very best. And you know what? If for some reason outside of my control this deal dies, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. Maybe a couple nights, but not, I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it, but I'm absolutely going to do my best and have confidence in my preparation. So I think part of it is just that self-confidence and just telling yourself, sure, there's a million other things you could have done to prepare for the situation, but what you've done is sufficient and it's enough and it's go time. Like, now it's time to perform and have that self-confidence that you're going to be ready, you're going to be okay.
Perfect.
Kaiden?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Ben. So I was just wondering about these values. You have these 5. But for you personally, it sounds like you're really enjoying life, living in Hawaii, you got, like, all this arbitrage going for you. Like, what's your exit strategy? Because every single day you're engaged in helping founders find a way out of their industry. Like, how do you recognize when enough is enough or whether it's time to move on? Because I feel like it's hard, especially once you have success going. When it's like a dental practice that may be going under, it's easy to know that it might be time for a change. But for you, Bob, like, how do you know it's a good time?
I don't believe in retirement. I think it's a fallacy. Why would someone that naturally likes to work and get stuff done just stop working and getting stuff done? That just seems like horrible for your mental health. So so that's not really the goal. The goal is to continue to find really meaningful, fulfilling things to engage in. And a big part of that is service and finding ways to help the younger generation and pay it forward. There's nothing more rewarding and meaningful than finding ways to serve others in a capacity that they're going to benefit a lot from. And so, I'm not the best at going to the soup kitchen or whatever, but I'm pretty good at working with junior folks and helping them, develop really dangerous skill set to be successful. And so for me, that's super fulfilling. I love teaching in the classroom. I love working with our junior team, interns, et cetera. And that's what I want to continue to do. So in terms of the career, I don't think I have a great answer of, hey, when is it going to change or stop or morph? I like what I'm doing. We're doing great things. I'm excited to continue to grow. But more than anything, I'm just excited to continue to see the team build with amazing people and help them achieve their goals and see them, turn into great people. That for me is really, really special and really fulfilling. And I hope to continue that for a long time.
That's great. Olivia?
Hi, thank you so much. So I just had a quick question. You said that you've mentored a lot of young adults and students, and that's awesome. And as a student, we're super grateful for that. But going forward, we're also entering internships and new positions. What has made like the interns at your firm or your new hires really stand out and actually add value to you and your firm?
There's three main characteristics that the best interns have. The first is work ethic. They just grind. They work super hard. The very best A players, they just work so hard. And they never complain about it, and they're always eager to do more, and they have this passion for just getting work done. And I love that. And in my industry, in investment banking, it's pretty typical to work a lot of hours and to have, a lot of, it's known as kind of a grinding industry, working a lot. And so I think people coming into it already expect that. But the ones that really shine are the ones that embrace that and just love it. The ones that are working late and never complaining and always eager to do more. And I think most of you understand that intuitively, but it is really hard to implement. But I would say that's number one. Number two is a commitment to excellence. So not just working harder, but working smarter. Every day trying to get better and refining your craft. Not just doing the work, but thinking, how can I do this work better? How can I be more efficient and effective with my time as I do this work? How can I improve the process? Never getting the same feedback twice. I hate that, right? I already told you this, like write it down and implement it, right? They're the ones that never get the same feedback twice and are always looking for ways to make improvements. The third is a proactive communicator. So everyone on my team works remote, and it's great. And we all are really, really good at communicating with each other, writing daily reports, frequent on the chat. Junior folks are typically really not great at managing their manager's expectations. And so, let me tell you when I'm going to get this in. Let me give you a deadline, and making sure that's very achievable. And if for some reason I'm hitting roadblocks or difficulties along the way, I'm going to proactively give you that bad news, but not just the bad news. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing about it. Here's the action plan that I've already thought through, versus just coming to my manager with bad news and here's a problem and how can you help me, right? So it's that proactivity and that proactive communication, very active in communicating up to your manager, never waiting for her to ask you your status and seek a status report from you, but being very proactive to continually give status reports and updates on your progress, problems that you're facing, and solutions that you're implementing. Those are the three. If an intern has it, you're going to be dangerous and we're going to make money together, right? So that's what I look for.
I love that. Write that down. Number one, I almost want to quiz him. Is this weird? Number one, work ethic. Number two, commitment to excellence. And number three, proactive communication. That's great. That's awesome. Gosh, that should be on a meme somewhere. All right. Another question. We've got time for a couple more, it looks like. Maybe one more. Don't be shy. The Bob Winder is sitting before you. The Bob Winder. Pops.
About the old man.
The old man.
One of the true pleasures of my whole life has been watching this man grow up. From a little bitty kid who was basically all thrust and no vector. Going 900 knots in every direction. There was a time when he was afraid of his own shadow. Seeing that growth and development through some really hard knocks in his life, and seeing where he has been able to channel his passion and excellence and ethic and work is one of the greatest rewards a parent could ever have. And I want you young men and women to know that there is no reason in this world why you can't be of that excellence as well. Because I saw what was pretty much a normal little kid running around with his hair on fire become this incredible man who sits before us with a success story that is so filled with hard knocks. It's unbelievable that he did it, you can do it. And if not you, then who?
I love it. Let's clap for that. If the camera didn't catch that, that was Bob's father, who was a fighter pilot, and I'm ready to go into battle with both the windows right now. You guys are fantastic. All right, that concludes our discussion, but we have one more situation. We had a case competition that happened this morning, and Bob here is going to announce the winners of that competition.
Before we do that, let's give it up both for Bob and also for Dr. Blau for hosting the conversation. Let's give it up, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Thanks, Dr. Blau.